Yes, greetings. Today we're going to talk about the Windrush generation. And from way back, from even before I come to England, and especially when I come to England, I'm a swag. We ask the question, and we writing a little song, where I say, Mama, why? Papa, why? Mama, why did you sell off the land for living a council flat to England? Papa, why? And Mama, why? Papa, why did you sell off the land for work in a dirty factory in England? Me hear say it was 2 scores of acres, through the land run pure river water. We have akiyama and banana, okra and cocoa. So Mama, why? Papa, why? Mama, why did you sell off the land for work in a dirty factory in England? Yeah, so this was what took place in the 50s and early 60s. A lot of people, their parents, and some of them themselves, sold land to come to England, to pay the voyage to England. Because in those days, it was, in the earlier days, it was people who came in by boat. That's why they call it the Windrush generation, because they came by, the first ship was the Windrush. Now, during the 50s now, there was a strong back to Africa movement. And people were thinking to go back to Africa. And then the British government made this offer now that people from the Caribbean could come to what they were calling the motherland, and confuse black people. You understand? Because they tell people, say, the streets of England was paved with gold and all this type of thing. And, people wanted to improve them circumstances. So even a family like my grandparents, them, sold land for send her children to abroad, to the UK and to America. And the condition them find themselves never really good. You understand them, when them come, them say no dogs, no Irish, no blacks, no dogs. And so this was the category that they were slotted into. You understand? So you saw them they treat the people them. So this is why I'm asking the question, why you sell off the land? You understand? Because them say, Bob Marley is saying, I'm song, in the abundance of water, the fool is thirsty. Because, like I say, the song I just sing, 2 scores of acre that all, some of them have 20, 30, 40 acre land. Some of them might only have an acre, but the spot where them have it in, them can't go back and buy them land, Definitely. Cannot go back and buy them land because them land value millions and millions of US dollars, because some of them are beachfront land in a resort areas. Them can't buy back them land because hotel have them and put up tall skyscraper upon them and so on. So them can't buy back those land. And they got pittance for the land. You understand? And like I said, the land is fruitful because the colonist government never do anything to help those people to upgrade themselves. And still when they came here, they had all this problem, and still them end up by house, but the quality of living wasn't the same. Them come here and had deep pollution, what they call it smog and all this type of thing. Them come here, the building them look like, the house them where them are living look like factory and so on. So this was the kind of life that them face. So the Windrush generation was really conned into to come in here in a sense. But when I say con, I mean those people could have got the same benefit, one build a house on them land, and have a good income on them land if the government in Jamaica and the other Caribbean islands were prepared to offer them decent incomes, like decent work for decent income in those countries, because that's why they came here. They came here to work, to improve their income. And so the people here came here, them started to improve them income, but it was very hard. And now we are back to square one, because a lot of black people now, especially the offsprings of those people, they ain't got no income. Them back to the same position that people were in the 1950s and early 60s. You understand? Because we can't buy no house over here again. At least back in the days, people could have worked hard and buy a house. And then after 20 years, them own them house. No, you can't own a house because a mortgage is a 100-year mortgage. So the most you can hope for is to get the equity off of the house. But that equity off of the house that you put in was the mortgage. You understand? You don't even get back that. So it's really rent you pay for the house. So when time come for pack up and go home now, that not exists, because the people them in a Windrush generation, some of them say they might come for 5 years, 10 years and then go back. And then them start to have family, them get tied down. Babylon, it was a Babylon trap. It was a trap that Babylon trapped them in. And so we are the diaspora spread out now, that a large group of black people started to live in India, in England, and do the same thing to other people like the Indians from the Indian subcontinent, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka and so on. But the point I really want to make is how gullible we are as a people, because we're not working together and we're not pulling together. So we already have land, and land is very important in the power business. You don't have no power if you don't have land. So, you know, when you used to go to the bank in the days, them will ask you, what collaterals you have? Do you own a house? So if you don't own a house, you don't have no talk. If you don't own no land, you don't have no talk. So a lot of people, they give up the land. If you come to a situation where there was no collaterals, they had no collaterals, because they just come into one room. They used to call it digs back in the days according to the elder them. You know, my elders. They stay in a one room place and them kind of thing there. What them are called bed sit now, or studio flat, you know. Them find all sort of way now to spruce up the name of it for Kanye. But essentially that's what they were, bed sits. Yeah, so our generation, our parents' generation, sorry, they got Kanye away. But them still better off than how we was, because at least them they could have do some kind of work, hardly any work there for we for now. And we miss 60 years. Yeah, 60. Yeah, 60 to 70 years worth of not preparing for Africa. Because at those people who had the back to Africa idea, some of them actually came here and then went on to Africa, because everybody that for come and suffer some reason, and still some reason still remain the same, because people is, we can't get no ship or no plane for go to Africa straight from Jamaica or Trinidad or them places. I think them are consider it, but it not really a go on, and it need to happen. You know, so instead of we have to do the triangle, we can just do the back and forth. You understand? Because that's what it's supposed to do. Forward to Africa, forward to the Caribbean. Yeah, and also forward to the Caribbean and forward to England and so on. So, cause we end up with what? Nearly a couple million people in England. And you get trapped. They're not educated towards themselves. It's pure Eurocentric education them have. They're not educated to their own culture and their own understanding of themselves. Yeah, so that was just a little synopsis about what happened to the Windrush generation and how history was just shift away from Africa to England, what they call the motherland, where the street of London was paved with gold. And when people came here, they find out that it was not so. They say all a joke did go around that a man, when they covered one of the man when they covered the airport, him see a 5 pound on the ground and him say, Chuck, don't worry, we'll pick up that later. Hold it the water. So this is the kind of hypnotism that the European gave to a lot of Africans, and we need to educate ourselves. We need to wake up and come out of this negative hypnotic stage and rise to your future generation, because you have a responsibility to your offsprings. Yes, Rastafari love. This is Ras McKoy, over and out. Don't forget now to hit that subscribe button and that, yes, and the bell, the notification bell. And don't forget also to share. Yes, blessed love, Rastafari.